This is one of my favorite toys ever when I was a kid. My mom gave it to me, this little toy Land Rover. And I loved it. She told me, you know, they use these in Africa going on safaris, and they go through anything, the water, the jungle, anything. So I would play safari with this toy, and I would, because it was me, I'd really get into it. And I remember one morning, I went into my parents' bedroom early, and I was doing a little safari thing, and I'm like, he's going, deep into the bush, in the most dangerous territory. And there was a lot of motion in the bed I hadn't noticed. And my father's like, but what's going on down there? Yeah, I'm going deep into the bush, yeah, with the lions and the tigers. I guess my father was going deep into the bush at the time as well. And he's like, get out of the bedroom. You got to knock on the door. Yeah, why you talk to me this way? Why you talk to me like so? This is not good. The government, they oppress the people. My dad's like, shut up, go in the back. Ali Boumaye. I got spanked so many times as a child. I got many ass whoopings as a child from my vivid imagination that I inflicted on everybody. Cut to, anyway, I'm living in Brooklyn, and I have this ongoing war with the sanitation department because on our block, for some reason, they very rarely pick up the recycling. They're supposed to do it every week, minus holidays. But for some reason, maybe once a month they pick it up. So we get all this recycling. It's driving me crazy. And there's a guy named Petey Tomatoes that I became very friendly with who lived in a neighborhood. And Petey Tomatoes used to work at the sanitation department. I'm like, Petey, what's going on with these guys? And he goes, you don't understand. In Brooklyn, the recycling, it's different. You're gonna learn how it works. You're gonna learn how it works. It's not how you think it works. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, he's speaking in parables, like Jesus. I'm gonna learn how the recycling works. Anyway, I get up one morning and the recycling's not picked up, and I just kind of snap. I'm like, this is one of these things that I hate about being an adult. All these little pain in the ass things. I just the happiest time of my life was when I was a child and I was playing with my little Land Rover and everything. I'm like, I want to get one of these Land Rovers. So I look on Craigslist, right? And it's like it becomes like an obsessive search, and everything's a wrong turn. Like, somebody will say they have one, and I'm like, I call them, and why are you selling this car? Due to illness. Well, what's the illness? I'm sick of this piece of shit. I finally find one for $1,500. There's a lady selling it for $1,500, and I ask her. I say, well, why is it? It's $1,500. She goes, yeah, and $1,500. And I go, does it run? And she goes, oh yeah, it runs great. And I go, well, why are you selling it for $1,500? She goes, I have Parkinson's. I can't drive it anymore. I love it. I can't drive it anymore. Because I shake. It's very sad. So I'm like, okay. She goes, you got to bring cash though, and I'm not negotiating. I'm like, no problem, $1,500, I got it. And she goes, here's the other thing, it's not in the New York area, it's upstate, so we got to catch a bus to get it. I'm like, okay. So I'm telling my wife this. My wife's like, are you crazy? Do you know what happens on Craigslist? People disappear. You're going to end up in a barn somewhere in some, crawl space getting butt raped, and you're going to have a ball gag in your mouth or whatever. Now she's making me all paranoid. And, so I show up the next day to the bus. I got a knife in my boot, a roll of quarters in my pocket. And I realized I didn't ask what the lady looked like. And so I'm looking around, and I see this woman just shaking. I'm like, is that you? She's like, yeah. So we get on the bus. We sit next to each other, and this bus, there's a lot of drama on this bus, right? It's a long ride, there's a lot of drama. There's another woman, as soon as we start, she wants to get off the bus, and the bus driver's like the great Santini. He's like, I will only make designated stops. And this woman's like, I don't feel good. I said I will only make designated stops. She's like, you don't understand. I'm going to projectile vomit all over. Everybody's like, get this bitch off the bus. There's gonna be a riot in there. Meanwhile, the lady with the Parkinson's is shaking, and it causes her to kick out. So she keeps kicking the seat in front of her, and it's annoying the guy. And when she kicks out, her elbow pokes me in the side, and it makes me laugh because I'm ticklish, right? So this guy thinks we're mocking him, kicking the seat. So he's looking through the hole, in the little crack, and finally he's like, "Quit kicking the fucking seat!" And I'm like, she's got Parkinson's. She can't help it." And he's like, "I don't give a shit what you got. Quit kicking the seat." I'm like, "Dude, I got a knife in my boot. I got fucking quarters in my pocket. It's gonna be on this bus." Finally, it all calms down. We get off the bus, and I'm like, "Okay, so where's the car?" And she goes, "Well, it's not right here. We gotta walk to it, right?" So we're walking to it. All of a sudden, she goes, "Oh no." I said, "What's oh no?" She goes, "I forgot my medication." And she goes, "I need my medication." So now she's shaking, I'm shaking. We look like we're battling in Beat Street or something, doing the electric boogie. It looks like Michael J. Fox doing Jello shooters with Muhammad Ali. Because I'm like, did this lady is gonna die. And then some sheriff's gonna come in. Let's see, you get a $1,500 Land Rover. You got a knife in your boot and a dead white lady. It's not looking good. We make it to car. We make it back to Brooklyn. I give her the money or whatever, and everything's fine, right? The car, the thing about this car though, about this Land Rover, is it broke down all the time. It was always breaking down. My friend used to call the mechanic shop its summer home. There was always something, so I was always working on it, and I would get into it. My wife would be like, "Hey, you working on the car again? What do you want for dinner? What do I want for dinner? I want fufu. I want cassava leaf for dinner. Just stop talking like do not talk to me this way." She'd be really irritated. Or I go to the, get parts. What are you doing? I've got to get supplies at this store. Just stay here, keep an eye out for lions, tigers, and hostile Zulu tribesmen. She'd be like, "Shut up with the voices." You don't want to marry a comedian, by the way. I think I've said that before in some of these other videos. But I love this car. There's one thing about it that I could never really figure out was this passenger door, the button, the lock button, it just would never go down. Even when a car was locked, it would never go down. So consequently, this car got broken into all the time because someone would just open the door. And it used to annoy me. There was somebody who was breaking into it like on a weekly basis. So I was so angry about it. I was just so angry. So one morning, my wife wakes me up. She's shaking me. She's like, "There's a guy in your car right now." I'm like, "This guy, what?" I run downstairs. There's this young dude asleep in the passenger seat. And next to the car, all the glove box is open. Everything's open. Next to the car, there's one of those bicycles that's for kids, but adults ride them, like in these little gangs or whatever. And it's got the seat missing, and it has a license plate, a custom license plate that says Baller on it. It's hilarious. It's purple. Lean against the car. So he's locked the door now. So I knock on the window. I'm like, "Hey. And he gets up. He's like, "What happened?" I'm like, What happened is that you're in my car." He's like, "What happened?" Right? It just goes to octave higher. I'm like, "What happened? Get the fuck out of my car." Right? "You're the dude that's been robbing." He's like, No, it's not me." He gets out. He's got my headphones in his pocket. He's got change. He's got an Apple. So my wife comes out. She's like, "I'm calling the police." He sees her. He goes to grab her. I go to grab him. He's a little dude. He ducks under my arms, gets on the bike, and starts pedaling off. So I'm chasing this guy, and he stops to mock me. Right, he turns. I remember he stopped at one point, turns around and goes, "That's what's up," and then and then rides off. So cops come. Within 15 minutes, they found this guy, and they have me go identify him. And he's by the Red Hook Projects, and they grab the bike. They put it in the back of the. We live 2 blocks away from the precinct, which is why we got that quick response, I believe. They put it in the back of a police car. Drive to the station. The guy's like, "You got to fill out some paperwork." So he starts asking me these questions. He's like, "What did the perpetrator say to you? Did he say anything?" I'm like, he said, "Wahaping." "How do you spell that?" WHAHAPPING. "And then what did he say?" He said Wahaping again, but you could probably put just squared. Did he say anything else? He said, "That's what's up." So Wahaping, That's what's up. I'm like, do we really even need to write this shit down? It's part of the procedure. By the way, the bike that he was, the bike vehicle that he had procured was also stolen. And he goes, get the evidence, the bike out of the car, to one of the other guys. The other guy, another cop goes out of the car. He comes back. He's like, it's gone. The bike got stolen out of the back of the police car in front of the precinct. While we were in there, it was like within 15 minutes while we were in there. I'm like, this is so Brooklyn, right? A couple weeks later, my wife is planning to open this store. The day before, in Red Hook, the day before the store opens, Hurricane Sandy comes in. Just destroys Red Hook, like just, floods everything. So she's like, we got to go to the store. As soon as we can get there, we got to check on everything. So we get in a Land Rover, we're driving there, and, I'm like, the devastation is crazy deep in the bush. She's like, shut up. There's Walter everywhere. Shut up. We get to the store, and I feel terrible for her. I mean, the thing is, it's 7 feet underwater. There's a boat that is gotten in front of the door, lodged in, I don't know where a boat came from, but it's lodged in front of the door. Got to remove it. We spend the whole day cleaning the place. It's like the saddest day ever. Then we start driving home. Of course, the Land Rover all of a sudden just stops. It just stops right in front of the projects, right? And my wife's like, ugh. And I'm like, I think it's the gas. I think it's the gas, because the gas gauge, sometimes it says it's full, it's empty. Sometimes it's empty, it's full, whatever. So there's an old black guy sitting on a crate in front of a garage. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, he's like, think it's the gas? I'm like, I think it's the gas. And he's like, I got you. And boom, he pounds on the door to the garage. It slides up. It's like the Fonz, with the candy or Coke machine or whatever. Inside, he's got a gas can. And he's like, you could take that up to the gas station, fill it up, whatever. But next to the gas can is that purple baller bike, right? And I go, how much for both of those, right? And he's like, give me $50, right? So the purple with the fucking the license plate. So I take a string, I put through the gas can, put it around my neck, get on the baller bike, I pedal up there, and there's no seat, and I keep forgetting and sitting down, and is probably the reason we don't have children right now. Fill the thing up, come back, fill up the Rover, drive back to the house. It immediately breaks down for some other unknown reason, right? So I got to get it towed to the mechanic. It sits there for 3 weeks while they're figuring out. But for that 3 weeks, I'm riding around that little baller bike all over Brooklyn, and and I'm getting kind of attached to that thing, right? I'm riding it everywhere. One morning, it's early in the morning, my wife shakes me again, wakes me up, What's going on? She goes, I looked out the window. Somebody stole that bike, right? Bike got stolen. But right then it hit me. I finally understood that this is how Brooklyn recycles. And the only way you're going to understand how Brooklyn recycles is you have to go deep into the bush.